Chapter 392. You're inviting a lot of people. You have to go in and out together. Of course you need a room. And if you feel that the two circles aren't suited to be together, you can book 2 rooms. You just need to run around in the middle. Papercut taught Luonan step by step. Before he became the elementary instructor, he never thought that he would be responsible for imparting such basic social knowledge. Luonan could not help but feel embarrassed. Speaking of which, he really did not care too much about tonight's trip to Frost River Reality. He just thought that he would go to the game hall and bring people in. How could he have known that there would be such details when it came to entertaining people? It made sense when he thought about it. Last time Mo Chio and Xianxia had a get-together, they had booked a private room. I'll book one right away. Luonan was flustered for a moment. He hastily contacted Frost River Reality. He was lucky. Originally, he would not have had the slightest chance with the explosive business there. However, someone just happened to cancel their subscription. He was also a person who had personally experienced the events of Frost River Reality. He actually had a bit of compensatory privileges, allowing him to snatch a medium-sized room. However, it was impossible to realize his idea of booking 2 rooms. So be it. Fat people don't look old. With my looks, it should be enough for me to pretend to be young. Papercut consoled himself with a few words before sighing. Let's go. We're going to wait now. I'll teach you another trick. Since you're the one treating, arriving earlier than the guests is the most basic courtesy. The brand new flagship store of Frost River Reality maintained its high-end image. The venue was set up in Aurora Cloud City. This was the 6th stage of the 6 circular staircase buildings of Cloud City Water Village. It was also the tallest building aside from the main building. Monday was not the busiest time of the day. Luonan and his group did not arrive too late. At the very least, they arrived before the evening rush hour created by the office workers. However, Frost River Reality, which had just opened for business, still attracted a large number of players. The tide of students from the surrounding large living areas became the main consumers of this time. The theme of this week's event at Frost River Reality's flagship store was the Wasteland. With the support of reality technology that could pass for reality, the surging stream of people walked from the resplendent modern metropolis into the declining small town. Unexpectedly, there was no sense of incongruity. Frost River Reality, which was decorated with reality technology, was like a starving beast. It swallowed the stream of people in large mouthfuls, seemingly never spitting them out. This business is really explosive. Cragburst clicked his tongue in wonder. Luonan and the others had yet to enter. They sat at the Frozen Star ice cream shop that was standard in every Frost River Reality. They ordered 3 drinks and waited for Mo Peng Mo Han and the others to come over. The Frozen Planet also coordinated with the Wasteland theme of Frost River Reality by covering the entirety of reality. All of the dining cups were replaced with worn-out wooden and iron products. The tables, chairs, and counters were also changed accordingly. Sitting here, if one didn't care about their clothing, would be like entering a vagrant tavern in the wilderness. Oh, if one ordered an iced drink that cost more than 100 renminbi, they would get a vagrant cloak for free. There's only one word: burn. Burn money. Papercut took a sip of his drink and evaluated. The event planner should have been to the wilderness before. The background is pretty good, but it's limited to this ice cream shop. What the hell is that small town? Anyone who dares to build something like that in the wilderness is doomed to be flattened by mutants. As they chatted, Papercut, who was such an honest person, couldn't help but show off a few words, but that was all. They soon gathered together and chatted enthusiastically about the flywheel arm. Papercut was still teaching Luonan a few things to take note of. This toy's components are exquisite and complex. It's definitely not the durable type. Think about that emergency shrapnel. It must have taken quite a bit of effort to dig it out from the tree trunk, right? After a mid to high intensity battle, the recovery ratio of components isn't high. As a conventional weapon, the logistical pressure isn't small. Luonan wasn't prepared to use the flywheel arm as a conventional weapon. He just wanted to use it to practice his control of interference power after combining 3 orifices into one. It was quite suitable to add a way to adapt. But even so, logistics was a more realistic problem. Right? Luonan vaguely remembered Papercut saying that there was an after-sales service. Papercut laughed heartily when Luonan asked about this. I was waiting for you to ask this question. Of course there's an after-sales service. You know him, old Zhai? Luonan was shocked. This is worker Zhai's work? Papercut shook his head. He's not the main creator, but he's one of the auxiliary designers. In the beginning, he was also responsible for the OEM manufacturing of some of the components. He looked all around and lowered his voice. Actually, the flywheel arm was a cooperative project between the society and the government. Its main purpose was to research the ratio and structural design of easily interfering substances. Unfortunately, it was abandoned halfway. Most of the research was lost. The flywheel arm was the only concrete result, but it was lacking in stamina. It was impossible to conduct follow-up research. You guys know that old Zhai has always been very passionate about these things. Plus, this was the first time he was deeply involved in the research of the society. He couldn't bear to part with it. He took advantage of the fact that the project was off the drawing board to buy the property rights to this toy and change it to handmade. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. Right now, he's only maintaining the after-sales service. He still has to spend quite a bit of money on it. Luonan shook his head. It's too hard for worker Zhai to do it by himself. Papercut shrugged. So I'm doing some sort of sales promotion for him. The product is free, but the after-sales service isn't good. That's for sure, Luonan answered without hesitation. Papercut sighed ruefully. Old Zhai is certainly at the expert level when it comes to mechanical design, but his ability talent is mediocre. He doesn't have the support of hard strength. It's hard to be optimistic about him forging a successful ability user weapon. His mood has dropped over the past 2 years. But I don't know what happened when you went last time, but you stimulated him a bit. He's been very excited these past few days. Being excited was good. Luonan didn't forget that the dynamo core he took from Gym Master Xiao was still in worker Zhai's hands. It was undergoing in-depth research. It would be best if there was progress. Xuelei had some understanding of worker Zhai, but it wasn't as deep as Luonan's. Xuelei had an impression of worker Zhai, so he asked Luonan in a low voice, "Is worker Zhai lacking in soul strength?" Luonan laughed when he heard this. This was typical layman's words. "I'm evaluating your strength. I'll say how many kilograms of your fist forces. So, how much strength do you have? Do you recognize that?" Xuelei immediately understood. "I understand. Soul strength must be measured from all aspects." The society had the 4 dimensions measurement. It included the 4 basic measurement standards of depth, intensity, sensitivity, and affinity. However, it was far from accurate quantification. Therefore, it was hard for Luonan to say what the key factor restricting worker Zhai's growth in strength was. After all, soul strength was far too subtle and complex. Papercut swallowed the drink in his cup along with the ice cubes. Talent. 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 Important words can be repeated 300 times. In our domain, if you start off as a blank slate, you won't be able to reach that standard. You won't be able to reach it in your entire life. Old Zhai has some skill, but he's just a bit off. He can't go up no matter what. And as long as he can't go up, many methods of training and growth are meaningless. Luonan and Xuelei glanced at each other. Actually, they were a bit disapproving of Papercut's words. Xuelei felt that his own ability was partly due to the guidance of a famous teacher, and partly due to his own solid training. Talent wasn't a decisive factor. Luonan thought of his grandfather's formatting theory. If he had talent, he would have followed his grandfather's theory. He would have used medicine to pile up and mold it step by step. Papercut could guess what the 2 youths were thinking, but he didn't care. Of the 600,000 ability users in the world, almost 90% lacked the corresponding aptitude and could not be truly awakened. They could only waste their time in a state that was neither good nor bad. It was one of the most painful experiences in the world to give light, but to wipe out hope. Without long-term, extensive contact, the 2 little ones would not be able to truly understand that group. All of this required experience. When their eyes met, the enthusiastic young man and the passive uncle understood each other tacitly. Their magnetic field sizzled. Now that they had the time to chat, Xuelei couldn't help but ask, "How is it possible that there are no ways to train and gain strength?" The dojo master had once said that the 3 treasures of essence, breath, and spirit were shared by everyone. When your spirit is full, your chi will be full, and when your chi is full, your spirit will be full. This is a chain that runs through everything. If you don't have enough soul strength, strengthening your body is also a way. Papercut laughed. How is a fleshly body enhancement different from a mental enhancement? The former had a foothold in the material world. As long as one cultivated it properly, they could build up layer by layer and temper themselves inside and out. Even a shabby brothel could one day transform into a royal palace. But the mental plane is illusory, and the activation of abilities usually comes out of nowhere. It doesn't have muscles and it can't be increased with large amounts of exercise. The main reason lies in the fact that its nature is far too different from the material world. It's impossible to find a point of connection. Even if you find it, there will be a difference between reality and illusion. It's like a chicken talking to a duck. Luo Nan had a pensive look on his face. So you're saying that interference power is very important. Papercut tapped his empty cup. Yes, interference power is extremely important. President Ouyang once said that the current theory of supernatural powers is incomplete. Only by realizing the function of interference can soul strength be incorporated into the experience system that people can understand. Only then can the two most crucial tasks of observation and cognition be realized. Only then can one borrow the foundation of the material world to realize effective growth. The stronger the interference power, the faster the growth. Papercut immediately retreated in defeat when he saw Luo Nan's pure eyes. I know that you're an exception. You're the only one whose interference power is trash in the early stages, but your soul strength can still soar. Formatting theory is truly extraordinary. Luo Nan loved to hear these kinds of words. He immediately smiled until his eyes squinted. However, he didn't believe that this point could reflect the particularity of formatting theory. No. My self-format is also constructed on top of the material world. It is constructed on the special structure of the nervous system. It's not that it doesn't have interference power. It's just that it is very likely to form a one-way channel. I can only use matter to interfere with the mind. The reverse won't work. This will drive the rapid growth of soul strength, but it will also cause a serious imbalance between body and soul. Papercut blinked. He found it strange that Luo Nan actually understood what Luo Nan was saying. What you say is quite reasonable. If I can study and analyze it in earnest. Luo Nan rolled his eyes. Don't dissect it. I don't want to be a guinea pig. Having said this, he thought of octopus. He had already made some progress with the help of his grandfather's notes and formulas. He didn't know whether or not he could produce some dazzling results. Perhaps formatting theory really did have flaws, but Luo Nan's own practice proved that these flaws could be overcome. He had already borrowed Gym Master Xiu's guidance and coupling theory to turn a one-way channel into a two-way channel. This sort of experience could be completely integrated into formatting theory, making it more persuasive. It could become a hot topic in the inner world and even the entire world. Right now the momentum was good. Luo Nan laughed unconsciously. Hey, what are you thinking about? Shuelei saw Luo Nan laugh foolishly for some inexplicable reason after calling Luo Nan a guinea pig. Shuelei was a bit worried that something would go wrong with Luo Nan's mental circuit. Only now did Luo Nan realize that he had lost control of himself. He hurriedly waved his hand. It's nothing. I just feel that President Ouyang's description is precise. Last time at Frost River Reality. I'm talking about the one at the center of the city. Fairchild said something similar, like, observation is order, and the like, but he didn't mention the experience system. President Ouyang's premise is very good. From Luo Nan's understanding, the so-called experience system should be a set of observations and cognitive results that could be deduced and generated through practice and verification. Ability users who found it hard to become awakened, lived their entire lives in the material world. Though they possessed a bit of talent for supernatural powers, it was insufficient to correspond with their daily life experiences. Instead, it was easy for them to get lost in the illusory mental plane. They were unable to distinguish between what was extraordinary and what was fabricated. Only by realizing interference and entering the realm of normal human experience could one's soul strength become a real existence. Only then would one be able to abandon the obstacles of one's chaotic consciousness and transform the potential one possessed bit by bit into supernatural powers. Therefore, how important was it to have a stable and long-lasting interference mode? A flash of inspiration flashed through Luo Nan's mind, and an idea suddenly popped out. After a bit of deduction, he felt that it was a bit complicated, so he simply did it. With a thought, a precise structure was engraved at the interface between the mental plane and the material plane. The condensation ring. The ice cream shop was full of water vapor. In the blink of an eye, beads of water condensed out of thin air and floated above the table between the three people. Whether it was Shuelei or Papercut, they were both very keen characters. They immediately sensed it and their gazes locked onto it. Papercut was particularly shocked. The dripping sword? My goodness, you're this familiar with it? Luonan waved his hand. Let's not talk about the dripping sword for now. Let's just talk about the condensation ring. Actually, I feel that this might be more suitable for Worker Zhai. Making this thing doesn't require too much interference power, and Worker Zhai also has an amplification device. Even if he loses some precision, Worker Zhai should be able to make up for it with his level. Once he succeeds, he will have a fulcrum that will be constantly. Luonan spoke in a single breath according to his own train of thought. Then he saw Papercut's blank expression that said, "Here you go again." Clearly, Luonan's previous words were wasted. Luonan also felt that he didn't speak clearly, so he prepared to add, "What I mean is. Nanster, where are you?" "We're here." Mo Peng's communication cut in perfectly. Before Luonan's voice could fall, he saw Mo Peng take the lead at the entrance of the ice cream shop, leading a majestic group inside. Luonan instinctively counted 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. 9 people. The ice cream shop was densely packed with people, and it had undergone materialization. It was built to look like a dark and gloomy tavern. With so many people entering in one breath, the space suddenly became oppressive. Chapter 393. Let alone Luonan, even Papercut, who considered himself an etiquette teacher and a rescue expert, felt a bit dizzy when he saw the group of kids charge in. Why are there so many people? He began to consider whether or not he should flee at the last minute. However, his feet had just moved when Shuelei grabbed him. "Brother Papercut, you must go. Look at Nanster's face." That was why Mr. Macho hated muscular dogs the most. Papercut struggled to no avail and could only accept his fate. He shook his head and said, "Then entertain them first. Don't take it too seriously. Hey, it's time to get up and greet them." Actually, Luonan knew to stand up and wave to Mo Peng and the others without needing him to say anything. A group of people moved over noisily. The leader, Mo Peng, was bewildered with excitement. "Don't delay any longer. Let's set off immediately. Let's go to Frost River Reality. Wasteland Winter." Luonan was still mulling over how to greet people, so he shut his mouth. However, Mo Peng wouldn't let him off that easily. He draped an arm over Luonan's shoulder. "Those who haven't seen him before should recognize him. This is my little brother Luonan. He was a traitor of 6th High School who had abandoned the light for the dark side and ran towards Acumen College. Today is his journey to atone for his sins. He will bear all the expenses." This saved him the trouble of introducing himself. Luonan took a deep breath. He was faced with nearly 10 pairs of eyes staring at him. He wasn't nervous at all, but he really didn't know how to take care of everything. He hadn't been able to clearly see everyone's faces up until now. He only saw Mo Han behind Mo Peng, and then his train of thought went astray. Above the table, the condensation ring was still in effect. No one noticed the floating water droplets, but it wasn't good to leave them there for too long. Luonan was worried that he would give himself away, so he used his interference power to shatter the water bead and the condensation ring. However, the inspiration that had just emerged faded away. Seeing that Luonan's reaction was half a beat too slow, Mo Han gave Mo Peng a sneak peek. She blamed Mo Peng for being too unreliable with his words. Papercut was unwilling to pass on this responsibility. He came out to assist. "We have a lot of people. Let's not block the road here. Let's go inside first and then we can slowly talk." Luonan finally revealed a smile. "Right. Let's go to the room." The more people there were, the livelier it was. There were many details and no one cared about a few flaws. The group of pawns moved on to Frost River Reality. The AR guide who welcomed them was a boorish uncle in a tavern. "Come on, explorers. Change your equipment before the adventure. Do you have a fixed equipment room?" Luonan called out to his good luck. He was also grateful for Papercut's reminder. He turned his gaze and locked gazes with Papercut. Then he said, "Number 156. Yes, Mr. Luo. I wish you and your companions a good harvest." There were 9 people on Mo Peng's side and 3 on Luo Nan's side. A total of 12 people followed the guided tunnel and entered the room. Everyone was a frequent customer. After entering the private room, they stood in the scanning area to measure and synchronize the data. As a girl, Mo Han was meticulous in the end. She seized the opportunity to pull Luo Nan over and said with a smile, "Let's take this opportunity to introduce each other." Coincidentally, a young man and woman of short stature walked up to the scanning area side by side. She pointed at a rather cute round-faced girl. "My best friend Ruan Zihui and her partner Tong Hui. Together they formed the Gray group." "Smelly pomegranate, you're finished." The round-faced girl, Ruan Zihui, made a gun gesture with her finger and shot Mo Han through the air. Her boyfriend Tong Hui was a lively person. He immediately leaned to the side and pressed his back against Ruan Zihui. His fingers formed a gun and he struck a pose under the glow of the scanning area. At least half of the people in the room hissed at him. His girlfriend elbowed him back. The two laughed and laughed as they walked out. The atmosphere in the private room became more and more relaxed. Luo Nan relaxed a bit in his mind. If the people who came were all likable, then things would be much easier. A thought flashed through his mind and he saw a tall girl walk into the scanning area. She wore a black and white cashmere sweater and a pair of skinny jeans. Her figure was very good, especially the lines of her legs, which were especially straight. The visual effect was top-notch. She had a pretty face and a faint smile. She was a bit reserved. Luo Nan gave her a couple of glances and Mo Han reminded him in a low voice, "Don't get any bad ideas. She already has a master." "I know." Luo Nan felt wronged. He wasn't blind. Before the girl entered the scanning area, she had handed the jacket on her arm to the beautiful blonde man next to her. The Western bloodline was very clear. It was obvious that the two were not related by blood. They could only be boyfriend and girlfriend. Mo Han raised her voice and giggled, "Yuqin, our beauty queen. She has already accepted Mr. Turner's pursuit. They are currently in the stage of getting familiar with each other. Hurry up if you want to poach her." Someone screeched. Yuqin pretended not to hear and walked straight out of the scanning area. As for the gentlemanly Turner, he smiled and waved his fist at the person who had just shouted after returning Yuqin's jacket. "Hey Luo Biao." Only now did Luo Nan see the person who had just shouted. Unexpectedly there was a familiar face. The short but well-proportioned and agile Luo Biao was a quirky brown-haired youth. He was one of the few classmates Luo Nan had some friendship with at 6th High. He was also Mo Peng's best friend. Aside from him, everyone else seemed to be in Mo Han's circle. Luo Nan felt that this was quite interesting. This gathering was proposed by Mo Peng. What was going on with this scene? He turned his head and asked, "Were you suppressed today? There's no one here for you. We agreed on a get-together. How can you share your resources with others?" Mo Peng boasted to the skies, but his face fell in the blink of an eye. "Fine. Little Pomegranate's mouth is too fast. I'm afraid that I'll go crazy and the entire Mo family will know by the next day. But I never imagined that you would actually dare to bring out the tall and fat combo to deal with me." He was gnashing his teeth a bit as he spoke to this point. Then he changed the topic and laughed mischievously, "But tonight I'll be keeping an eye on little Pomegranate. Let's see what this girl wants to do." Mo Peng's meaning was very clear. Luo Nan was a bit shocked. He has a master. Right now there was only one man and one woman left in Mo Peng's party of 9 that Luo Nan did not recognize. The others either knew each other thoroughly or were paired up. Then there was only Yuzheng. He's Yuqin's older brother. He's 2 years older than us. I heard that he seems to be interested in Pomegranate, but Pomegranate's intentions are still unclear. Luo Nan's gaze shifted over. He saw that Yuzheng was of medium build. His genes were probably powerful. He and his sister Yuqin were one handsome and one beautiful. They were both very pleasing to the eye, and they appeared more mature than their age. It was hard for Luo Nan to imagine the scene of Yuzheng pairing up with the lively and straightforward Mo Han. Luo Nan put this matter aside for the time being and asked Mo Peng, "There's still one more. She's prepared for you." Luo Nan burst into sweat. "Prepared for me what?" "The remaining single girl. She's gentle and quiet. She's a good person, right? Her name is Chiu Pei Pei. She's a good match for you." The remaining girl was just as Mo Peng said. She was gentle and delicate. She looked very pleasing to the eye. But wasn't this a bad match? Mo Peng curled his lips and glared at Mo Han. Mo Han didn't know what the two brothers were talking about, but she didn't hesitate to give them the middle finger. You should go ask Mo Han. I was quite interested at first, but Sister Pomegranate said something like, don't have any crooked thoughts. It's not your turn. Luo Biao and I are the same kind of trash. He's even worse than me. Then isn't it clear who she's prepared for? Luo Nan was speechless. He felt more and more that he couldn't keep up with Mo Peng and Mo Han's train of thought. He could only retreat in defeat. Another call came through. It was from Xianxia. You guys came? Sorry, Xianxia and I just arrived. You're not late. We just came in as well. Senior, you guys just need to go to room 156. Mo Peng's ears perked up when he heard the word, senior. He even moved closer. Luo Nan pushed his head away, but Mo Peng had a face full of saliva. He stuck close to Luo Nan. Senior? Nanster, I knew you wouldn't be so extreme. How could you just use the tall and fat combination to fool me? So you had a backup plan. Then do you know that the tall and fat combination has the most sensitive ears in the entire room? Luo Nan shot a glance in the direction of Shuelei and Papercut. Papercut pinched his rather large stomach. He had a conflicted expression. Feng Shi smiled, but Luo Nan inexplicably felt that something was wrong. His gaze spun around the room, but he didn't know where the problem lay. Mo Peng asked him, how many more people are coming? Are they all little sisters? Big sister? You too. Oh no. Luo Nan finally knew where the problem lay. The medium-sized rooms of Frost River Reality were actually the standard of changing rooms. Every person was allocated a suitcase that was arranged in a ring. Aside from storing clothes, the most important thing was to use the system to switch to the most suitable equipment for Frost River Reality based on each person's scan. Everyone matched up with each other. However, the medium-sized rooms were made for 12 people. It just so happened that Xianxia and Luo Nan didn't have a corresponding suitcase when they arrived. This was Luo Nan's mistake. He didn't pay attention to the configuration of the medium-sized room at all. There was a knock on the door just as he was thinking about how to remedy the situation. Someone in the room thought that it was a waiter and called out, "Come in." The door opened and the room went silent for a moment. Xianxia smiled as she walked into the room. She was a bit shocked to see so many people in the room, but there were even more people who were rendered speechless by her arrival. Xianxia was dressed very simply today. She took off her coarse coat and hung it in the crook of her arm. She wore a loose white turtleneck sweater paired with black trousers. She also wore heels of the same color. Her hair was tied into a fluffy ponytail, and a lock of hair slanted across her forehead. She wore light makeup, a classic combination of black and white. She had a bit of experience, but she wasn't deeply immersed in the secular world. Xianxia gave the little sisters in the room an excellent early demonstration of what a beautiful woman should look like in the prime of her youth. Xianxia accurately found Luo Nan's position among the group of people. She sent him a gentle smile and then she spoke in a perfectly surprised tone. I didn't expect there to be so many people. I'm late. Everyone, please don't take offense. She lowered her posture and her smile was the most amiable. Even though she spoke empty polite words, it gave people a great impression of her. Luo Nan, Shuelei, and Papercut could be considered acquaintances, but the eyes of the other men in the room lit up. They completely ignored Xianxia, who followed behind them. Mo Peng exclaimed in surprise the moment Xianxia entered the room. Wow, Nanster, you really put in the capital. But why do I feel that she looks familiar? Oh, that Tian. Senior sister Xianxia. Last time we were at Frost River Reality. Mo Peng was too embarrassed to finish speaking, but Luo Nan had already nodded lightly. Mo Peng's mouth gaped open and Mo Han came over from the other side. Nanster, you invited her? I don't think she and brother Xiaoxian got together. How are you going to greet her later? There were too many whispers. Luo Nan was afraid that he would leave people hanging, so he raised his voice. Yes, senior sister Tian has taken good care of me at school. I took advantage of this opportunity to invite her out to play. Tianqi also went last time. Everyone should be familiar with her. Tianxia took advantage of Luo Nan's introduction to greet her little brother once more. This is our first time meeting. Please take care of me. Her gaze flew to Luo Nan after she spoke. I think I know why brother Qiusan didn't get together. Mo Ping didn't keep his mouth shut, so Luo Nan gave him a shove. Tianxi walked over to Luo Nan at this time. Tianqi followed behind her with a strange expression on his face. The atmosphere in the room could not be hidden from others. At this moment the gap between them could be seen. Tianqi's thoughts were all on his face like a bulldog's. On the other hand, when Tianxi was invited, she was inevitably embarrassed, but when it came to it, she hid all her negative emotions very well, making people feel comfortable. She apologized to Luo Nan once more. I'm sorry. I can't get away from the society for a while. No. Didn't I tell you? We just changed our equipment. Luo Nan responded without thinking, but he thought of the trouble he just discovered. He didn't know what to say next. Now he was the one in an awkward situation. However, Luo Nan was open-minded. He had to admit to his mistakes. There was nothing to hide. He scratched his head. Senior Sister Tian Yu and Senior Tianqi, wait a moment. I didn't count the number of people when I booked the room. To the side, Papercut was simply drunk. It was forgivable to book the room wrongly, and it wasn't a problem to admit to one's mistake. But this fucking blunt and straightforward method. Was it for the sake of showing everyone the history of this otaku cancer? He first slapped the call service button on the wall. His slightly plump body nimbly rushed forward and poked Luo Nan, interrupting him. Nanster mi Shuele and that. Mo Ping, you guys share a suitcase. Let two of them go first. I've already called for a human service. We can scan the equipment directly. It'll be very fast. Tianxi had seen Papercut at Ocean Sky Cloud City before. His build was easy to recognize. She knew that this was Luo Nan's friend. It was very likely that he was someone with extraordinary powers. Naturally, she wouldn't slight him. She immediately pursed her lips into a smile. This kind of situation happens often. There's no need to go through the trouble. Papercut bowed. It's only natural to serve a beauty. As he spoke, he turned to glare at Luo Nan. His meaning was, kid, learn. It was just as Papercut said. There would always be people willing to serve a beauty. Adding Tianqi to the mix wasn't a big deal. Mo Peng greeted Tianqi in a very familiar manner. Tianqi was very cooperative. There's no need to go through the trouble. Big Peng and I can share a suitcase. The two of them were quite familiar with each other. It turned out that the seventh son of the Mo family, Mo Qing and Tianqi, got along quite well in the field of esports. They had even met Mo Peng a few times. Everyone was familiar with each other, but the more they knew this, the more they didn't understand how Tianxi and Luo Nan, who had never interacted with each other before, could be this familiar with each other. Tianxi and Luo Nan had come over despite the awkwardness. This subtle layer of relationship was like a little bug, drilling into the tips of their hearts and making them itch. Luo Nan was just about to introduce Tianxi and her brother to the others. It seemed that Papercut and Shuele hadn't really mentioned them before. The scene was too chaotic. Suddenly, someone spoke up and circled back to the previous topic. Let's switch rooms. Once these words were spoken, most people turned their gazes in a daze. They found the source of the voice. Yu Jing. This person had a calm expression as he faced the focused gazes. I bumped into a fellow on the road just now. He's in the middle level here. He specifically told me that if I want to be a bit more spacious, I can upgrade the cabin. Right now, the luxury room and area, it just so happens to be empty. He smiled brilliantly as he spoke. His gaze streaked past Luo Nan and stopped on Tianxi's face. I feel that it's better to meet new friends in an open and bright environment. Everyone will have more fun. It was also at this time that Luo Nan heard Mo Peng squeeze out a sound from his throat. Holy crap. I don't know how many book friends have followed me here from the Netherworld Immortal way. This book can be considered my famous work. 10 years after the book was published, I finally have the opportunity to publish a simplified version. Right now, the first volume of this book has already begun a pre-sale event at Tmall's Audiobook specialty store. The first 200 buyers will receive a postcard with my personal signature. If there are book friends who don't mind my crappy handwriting, you can actively participate. Actually, I'm a bit worried that I won't be able to deliver 200 autographed cards. Chapter 394. The atmosphere in the room became very strange. Yu Zheng's smiling face was very vague. The meaning behind his words was also very vague. but the direction of his gaze was very clear. It was enough for most people to fill in the gaps in their minds. Was he pretending to be unintentional to step on the faces of Luo Nan and the others? Or was he stepping on the faces of Luo Nan and the others to show off to Xianxia? The meaning seemed to be the same. In short, he was stepping on their faces. Wan Zihui shot a glance at Emo Han and saw her best friend frown. She giggled and said, "What's the point of changing? We're going to area A, B and C. The size of the room is of no use." "Wow, you're using profanity." Tong Hui made a fuss over nothing. "You've already dirted me." Wan Zihui's sudden outburst shocked everyone present. Unfortunately, she wasn't a veteran. She couldn't help but laugh as soon as she finished speaking. She covered her face and squatted down. But in this way it would prove her words true. Even Tong Hui was dumbfounded. The focus of the entire room had been led astray by her. Emo Han looked at her in shock. It was just a standpoint. Was there a need to go all out? In any case, Wan Zihui had used Gray's sacrifice to reverse the atmosphere here. Though she wasn't openly teasing or making fun of them, the men and women were stifling their laughter. They threw the matter of upgrading to the back of their minds. Yu Jing gaped, but he was unable to say the words he wanted to say. He knew very well that forcefully reversing the atmosphere was too difficult. If he didn't do it right, it would be very hurtful. In the end, he wanted to make a good impression. He didn't want to run into a wall. That's right. Yu Zheng was certain that Xianxia was his favorite kind of prey the moment she came in. She had a sense of propriety. She knew when to advance and when to retreat. She had a graceful bearing. She wasn't very old either. She had just begun to mature. This was the kind he was most obsessed with in recent years. In comparison, though Emo Han was young and beautiful, she had a prickly temperament. If things went wrong, she would torment someone to death. Yu Zheng's gaze lingered on Xianxia. The more he looked, the more he felt that she was to his liking. He had yet to figure out why such an outstanding beauty would be friends with a typical otaku brat like Luo Nan. However, he dared to bet with his eyes that the two weren't that close. Luo Nan's polite behavior spoke volumes. Oh, the first part was a little too hasty. After all, this was the social circle of Emo Han and Emo Peng. If he was too forceful, it might produce the opposite of the desired result. However, once they entered the amusement park, that might not be the case. A smile reappeared on Yu Zheng's face. He shrugged and acted as if nothing had happened. He no longer mentioned the matter of upgrading the cabin. He slowly took off his jacket and prepared to change his equipment. Just then, colorful lights flashed in the private room, followed by impassioned music and a voice in the background. "Explorers, I admire your courage. Now let's move on to more dangerous areas." "What happened?" "The equipment is locked." "This is an upgrade." "Yu Zheng, what the hell are you doing?" Wan Zihui shouted again. Everyone's gazes turned towards Yu Zheng. Most of their gazes were filled with rebuke. No matter what you want to do, this attitude of acting first and reporting later is too unsightly. However, Yu Zheng also displayed an innocent appearance. Half of his jacket had been taken off, and there was still a sleeve hanging on his upper arm. He froze just like that, facing over a dozen gazes with a blank expression. A knock came from the door during this awkward and tense moment. Then the outer door was pushed open, and a young man wearing a perfectly straight suit walked in with a smile. "Zeister's just an upgrade. What are you hesitating for? At most it'll be on my tab. I'll act first and report later." "Oh wow, you really have quite a few new friends. How wonderful." Yu Zheng's entire face lit up. He never expected that this fellow would play such a trick. Perhaps it was the Shanghai style, or perhaps it was some other reason. But no matter what, Yu Zheng had extricated himself from a passive situation. This was truly a battle where he could raise his eyebrows in elation and turn things around. He tore off the jacket hanging on his arm and took a deep breath. Only then did he walk over with a smile. "Brother Fan, you're too fast." The young man surnamed Fan came in. It was clear at a glance that he was an exquisite character polished in society. He hammered Yu Zheng's chest, displaying an intimate attitude. Then he turned towards the room, his smile even wider. "My surname is Fan Fanchu. I'm in charge of this branch, so I might be 2 years older. This is the first time I'm meeting most of you younger brothers and sisters, but you're all Zangster's classmates, and Zangster is my younger brother's childhood friend. We're all just strangers." Fan Chu spoke quickly, but each word was clear. "There are many guests today. If there's any place I've neglected, please don't take offense. I've added a few fruit plates and refreshments to the luxurious compartment as an apology to my younger brothers and sisters. In the future when you come here, you can look for me directly for matters like reserving a private room. If you can't find one, just mention my name and I'll do my best to arrange it properly. Yu Zheng's heart warmed up when he heard him say this. In the past he had somewhat looked down on this brother Fan who had a strong social air, but now his opinion had changed greatly. Brother Fan was indeed a busy man. He picked up the phone in the time it took to say a few words. He smiled and waved to everyone before leaving with quick steps. Though he had come and gone in a hurry, Yu Zheng had already reshuffled the rotten cards in his hand with this trip. He had used a king bomb and 4 twos to play the bottom line. It would be hard for him to lose again. The more confident he was, the more natural Yu Zheng's attitude became. He no longer needed to flaunt anything. He just needed to spread his hands and face everyone, assuming the most magnanimous posture. Fine. I didn't know he would play this hand either. I'm afraid the data has all been transferred. Go. It's only a few steps away. Having said this, he faced Luo Nan with a smile. Junior Nan, this matter was an accident. It's been quite a toss. Why don't we make a deal and give me a chance? I'll treat you tonight. Consider it an apology to everyone, and also to express my stance to the seniors and juniors of Acumen College. Yu Zheng's words were spoken beautifully, especially after he had been wronged. The more he lowered his stance, the more it made the sharp-tongued Ruan Wenhui and the others unable to open their mouths. Yu Zheng looked around him after he finished speaking. He made some calculations in his mind. Right now he should have more or less snatched away Luo Nan's limelight as the host. He could continue to plow deeply and meticulously. Look, senior sister Tian. Wasn't she looking over with great astonishment? Tianxi was truly astonished. She could guess Yu Zheng's thoughts, but she was astonished at how reckless this person was. Though she still didn't truly understand Luo Nan's extraordinary ability, it didn't hinder her from having a basic understanding. If Luo Nan wanted someone like Yu Zheng to die silently, it would only take a mere thought for Yu Zheng to die. Fear couldn't be avoided from Tianxi's heart when her thoughts reached this point. This fear came from her reverence towards a power that escaped the control of society's laws and principles. Luo Nan's current wooden performance was like a mask in her eyes. Perhaps the mask would be torn off in the next moment, revealing the face of the Grim Reaper. She turned to look at Yu Zheng and he just so happened to meet her gaze. He bowed from a distance with a smile. Yu Zheng thought that he was free and unrestrained, but in Tianxi's eyes he was no different from a rotting corpse. She shivered and subconsciously shifted a bit in Luo Nan's direction. Then, under everyone's gazes, she reached out to press down on Luo Nan's upper arm. She hesitated for a bit, then slid a bit to the side to gently grasp his arm. Junior. At this moment, the eyes of the people in the room bulged. Chaotic thoughts ran through their minds. Of course, Yu Zheng's expression instantly darkened. Luo Nan was very baffled. He turned to look at Tianxi, feeling a bit uncomfortable with her suddenly closing the distance between them. He opened his mouth to ask why. At this time, Papercut suddenly jumped out from the side and laughed. Don't be confused. Don't be unreasonable. The data has already been transferred over. It's impossible to go back. Let's go experience the luxury room. I've never been there in my life. He extended his hand to drive them away. Go, go, go. All of you go. Don't forget your clothes, your personal belongings. Hey Nanster. Finish talking to Tianxi. Hurry up and go over. Perhaps there were many people in the room who wanted to see what would happen next, but Papercut only needed to use a little trick to make this group of powerless boys and girls, including Yu Zheng whose heart and face were very stiff, involuntarily lift their feet and leave. The room became quiet in a few breaths of time. Senior, what's the matter? Luo Nan's reaction was a bit slow, but he wasn't an idiot. Even though he hadn't completely understood the ways of the world from his perspective, Tianxi's heartbeat was chaotic right now. Fear was growing and the hand holding his arm was very stiff. It seemed as if she had suffered a fright and her mind was very tangled. The reason for this seemed to be because of him. Luo Nan was a lot more open-minded when dealing with someone like Tianxi who only knew a little. He gradually adapted to the new distance between him and Tianxi. He laughed. What are you afraid of? I'm just worried that you'll get angry. Tianxi's voice was a bit hoarse. She had some problems controlling her breath. In the end she was still nervous. Me. Luonan was baffled. I'm a bit surprised as well. Papercut stood at the door and suddenly spoke, startling Tianxi yet again. But when she saw this chubby youth give a simple and honest laugh, the smile lines on his chubby face appearing rather likable, her heart actually calmed down quite a bit. Shuelei popped his head out from outside the door. He curled his lips. That you fellow deserves a beating. He's always stepping on people. He's crazy. Papercut chuckled. Nanster usually has a good temper. I know that, but I never expected you to be this calm and collected when you're in trouble. You're not simple. But Luonan was still a bit uncertain. Are you talking about me? Who else could it be besides you? That bro stepped on your face today and he didn't let it go. I'm really worried that some string in your brain has snapped and you'll just clean him up like a tank. Motherf ***. Speaking of which, do you know how hard it was to clean up the scene back then? That bro's entire body went limp. With just a bit of force his skin and flesh would fall off. It was like he fell into a pressure cooker. Luonan had an innocent expression. He had been busy to death recently. How could he have the leisure to think about the matter of a dead person? Tianxi finally reacted at this time. Luonan didn't seem to have any killing intent. She carefully confirmed, you really aren't angry? Luonan was depressed and he felt a bit wronged. Did you guys really have to go so far as to kill him just because he said BBBB? What he did was all for naught, wasn't it? From start to finish he didn't move a single person, including his sister. And then I have to get angry? Brother Papercut, the few lives I've taken are all because they wanted to kill me first and then they destroyed my mother's work. This doesn't count as indiscriminate killing, right? Of course it doesn't count. Nanster, you're very magnanimous. Papercut gave a thumbs up. Tianxi felt it was quite odd when she heard this from the side. The words "a few lives" were seriously contrary to normal social logic. Yet Luonan and Papercut spoke of it so casually and naturally. Shuelei's expression didn't change at all. In the end they were different from normal people. Tianxi's heartbeat was hard to calm down. She had no choice but to take deep breaths to adjust. Luonan could feel it clearly, but he was a bit uncertain when he saw the situation. He turned his head and asked her, was there a problem with what I did just now? How was Tianxi supposed to respond? She had a clever and varied eloquence, but she was completely unable to display it at this moment. She really admired herself. Why did she think of having a private conversation with Luonan just now? It was Papercut who helped her out of this predicament. Nobody had that intention. Didn't they just praise you? I just want to know. Are you sure that kid you didn't move a single person? His tricks are pretty good, especially when that kid fan came over. I don't know what this group of boys and girls are thinking. Tianxi is knowledgeable but others may not. Luonan especially liked this topic. He immediately laughed and pointed at his own head. Sense it. Papercut was just teasing him. He never thought that there would really be an answer. He was stunned for a time. You can even sense this. Of course. It's very clear. It had to be said that Luonan didn't understand some of the ways of the world, but there were few in the entire Xia city who dared to say that they could beat him when it came to sensing people's energies, let alone in this room. It was just as he said. Yu Zheng was like a banshee that kept hitting a tree in this matter. The living starry sky displayed that this bro's gravity didn't form any effective fluctuations as a dim star. It had practically no real effect on everyone present at the time. Yu Zheng's influence, regardless of the peaks and troughs, never touched upon the level that Luonan needed to pay attention to. He just silently melted into the depths of the vast sea of stars. So Luonan's heart was truly without the slightest fluctuation. He prepared to give Papercut an explanation, but Papercut had already raised his hands in surrender. Forget it. I still need to help you deal with Cat Eyes in a bit, so I'll leave some brains for you. Let's go to the luxury room and take a look. Hey, the one I smashed at the Fudong store last time. It's also one, right? Luonan grunted. He had a stomach full of words but he couldn't say them. His mood was a bit down. When they rushed to the luxury room in Area A, they saw Mo Peng's spittle flying from inside. He was talking about a certain person's magnificent feat at the Fudong store. I've definitely never been to this place before, but Nanster should have seen it before. Huh. He doesn't like this kind of place, right? Luo Biao was very familiar with Mo Peng's role as a supporting character. The two matched up seamlessly. Mo Peng laughed mischievously. He doesn't like it, but he can't stand bad luck. Last time the Frost River reality on Fudong Main Street was attacked by terrorists. It was smashed to smithereens. After the incident, I looked at the police data. Nanster and the others retreated along a route that included the room in Area A. That seems to be the starting point. Huh. Nanster was also a person who personally experienced it. Tong Hui had heard Mo Han mention this before, but he didn't know much about it. He was quite curious. Of course. You don't say. Today's group took up a third of the place. Me, Sister Pomegranate, Senior Sister Tian, and Brother Chi were all people who personally experienced it, but none of us played as big as Nanster. He was in the last batch to come out. Alright, there's also Shuele. He was one of them. His dad was the special police captain in charge of protecting the mission. Mo Peng was dancing with joy as he spoke. Luo Nan and Shuele glanced at each other. They both kept their mouths shut and kept a low profile. Luo Nan wanted to deal with this group of people before talking to Papercut, Cat Eyes and the others. However, Yu Jing stood in the middle of the large room with flowing colorful lights and top-notch sound and light effects. All he heard were words like, attack, and smash to smithereens. His expression really didn't look too good. A call connected to his wristband at this time. Chapter 395. The caller was Fan Chu. Yu Jing had just received a favor from Fan Chu and had set up the scene. No matter what, he had to display an unusual attitude. Hello, Brother Fan, what's the matter? Do you have time to talk? Yu Jing went into the private room after hearing what he said. In any case, no one was paying attention to him right now. When he reached the suite, he left the door ajar and found a sofa to sit on. Only then did he realize that his muscles had unknowingly tightened. Damn it! How did such a small scene end up like this? Yu Jing couldn't help but sigh before saying, Brother Fan, speak. Fan Chu said, after I left, I suddenly thought of something. Are there people from Acumen College in your group? This way. Yu Jing turned his head as he spoke. Speaking of which, it was quite a coincidence. He just so happened to see Tianxia through the crack in the door. This beautiful woman stood quietly by Luo Nan's side. She smiled as she listened to Mo Peng's boast. Her bearing and temperament were incomparable. There's a woman. Is her name Tianxia? Hiss. For a moment, Yu Jing almost thought that his thoughts had been seen through by Fan Chu. He panicked for a moment, but fortunately he quickly adjusted himself and thought that this was probably a coincidence. He hummed twice and said, Yes, there is. Fan Chu's tone was relaxed. How did you get involved with her? Yu Jing was also probing. He was brought here by a former schoolmate of 6th Middle. When he was promoted, he transferred to Acumen College. What's wrong? Do you have a grudge with Tianxia? Fan Chu laughed exaggeratedly. If I have a grudge with a beautiful woman, then my life is really a failure. It's nothing. I was just asking. You know, I took 2 years of advanced studies at Acumen College. This Tianxia is some sort of cadre in the Alumni Association. I've had dealings with her before. I just remembered. I'm afraid he has completely forgotten about it. I see. Yu Jing thought to himself. It seemed that this Tianxia was a publicly acknowledged resource in the school. This brother of Fan Chu's had been out of the advanced course for 3 or 4 years, yet he still remembered her. The more resources there were, the more energy it would take to fight for them. However, they still needed to give them a chance to act. There was something that Yu Jing could not understand no matter how hard he tried. Tianxia was a beautiful woman. She had a good figure. She had a good mouth. She was an influential figure in Acumen College. Why did she put on a completely docile appearance when facing a wooden kid like Luo Nan? Even if they were looking for a spare tire, they didn't have to go this far, did they? At this time, Fan Chu smiled and said to him, Xingzi, you came at the right time today. I happen to have a few friends from nearby universities. Acumen College and Cloud City Business College have some. Their homes are pretty good too. If you have time, come over and play. I'll introduce you to them. Yu Jing was still quite arrogant to his bones. He wouldn't agree so easily, so he asked, Who are they? Fan Chu reported 2 names on the other side, and Yu Jing's eyes lit up. That's right, they were both famous figures in the circle of the 2nd generation. His family was in Xia City. Although he could be considered a rich and powerful family, he was still a bit short of what Fan Chu said. Normally, when they met, it was inevitable that they would try to curry favor and flatter him. He didn't like it, but in this kind of game situation it was more ideal. Alright, I'll definitely go. Brother Fan, help me introduce them. Actually, Yu Zheng wanted to say introduce, but he was affected by his inner self-esteem, so he changed the word. No problem, no problem. Fan Chu laughed heartily on the other side. He was straightforward. Suddenly he said, wait a moment, as if he had some work to take care of. Yu Zheng said, Brother Fan, you go do what you need to do. We'll contact each other in a bit. Fan Chu said that it was nothing, but in the end he still said his goodbyes. But at the end he suddenly said, Xingzi, I think it's quite troublesome for you to take care of so many people. How about this, I'll bring 2 people from my side to visit you. I'll give you some airs and you can return the favor later. Yu Zheng's heart skipped a beat, but he said, that's not appropriate, not appropriate. I should be the one to greet them first. It's fine. Your Yu family's medical business is so big. No one is inferior to the other. The people over there are familiar with each other, but you guys are unfamiliar with each other here. You should at least distinguish between inside and outside. We should give the airs of friends. When Fan Chu said this, Yu Zheng no longer had the strength to resist. He thought of the background and level of this group of people. If they could really come over to offer a toast and a fruit platter or something, his reputation in this circle would be thoroughly propped up. Alright, Brother Fan, then I'll thank you first. It's fine, it's fine. Who are we? Fan Chu laughed and hung up. On the other side, Yu Zheng took a deep breath, his heart beating faster. He felt that this was indeed an opportunity to greatly increase his reputation. His thoughts changed again and he suddenly felt that it was a pity. Unfortunately, there was only a group of poor students in the luxury room. Although they were good-looking, they weren't people of the ordinary circle. In the following scene, it would be best to greet a few friends that he often hung out with and properly disperse. Otherwise, wouldn't this be the so-called luxuriously dressed at night? With this thought, Yu Zheng could no longer control himself. He nestled on the sofa and used the search function of his wristband to check if there were any friends nearby. He just wanted to give it a try. Who knew that he would be so lucky? There really was a group of people right here in Cloud City Water Village. Although they weren't in the same building, it was only a few steps away. After a moment of hesitation, Yu Zheng waved his hand and snapped his fingers. He took out his usual style and contacted one of the people in the group. Hey old Sue. You're pretty close. Look where I am. Aurora Cloud City, Frost River Reality's flagship store. Yes, the newly open one. I have a group of little kids here. They're my sister's friends. Accompanying them is annoying to death. The heels of Yu Zheng's toes tapped the ground. He pretended to chat idly for a bit and began to urge, come over and play. At least there's someone to chat with. Speaking of looks, you know my sister's taste. Ha, yes, you also know my taste. Alright, come shake them. Shake the car, shake the bed. Shake them if you have the ability. Alright, those who have designs on my sister should die. Those who steal my prey should also die. Yu Zheng smiled and ended the call. He suddenly clapped his hands. His feet, which had never stopped, stepped on the ground and propped up his body. A warm current seemed to pour into his body, filling him with strength for a time. He walked out of the room with large strides and began to ponder over what activities to do next. He needed to first build up the atmosphere. For example, he could keep a low profile for now. He could hide his claws and teeth and let this group of people toss and turn. He could wait for the 2 groups of people to arrive one after the other. Then he would make a dazzling entrance and forge a golden body in an instant. His lips overflowed with a smile when he thought of this. At this time he just so happened to hear Mo Ping talking again. Nanster, I saw that the doctor's order is gone when you were scanned. Has your body completely recovered? My condition is fine, Luo Nan grunted in response. Since your body is fine, let's all go to Area A. The more the merrier. Me? I'll... Luo Nan was about to refuse when Mo Ping came over. He lowered his voice. You, me and Pomegranate. The 3 of us can easily make up for a trip to the reality battlefield. Our expenses can make up for this luxury bag. Yu Zheng, this kid is being unreasonable. We can't lose face. Luo Nan blinked. What face was there to lose? The 2 did not reach an agreement immediately. Mo Ping was a bit anxious. I just wasted so much saliva. It was all used to irrigate the dry land. Don't you have grass growing in your heart? Grow what? Grass didn't grow in Luo Nan's heart, but Yu Zheng, who had just walked over, had grass growing in his heart. If this group of people were egged on by Mo Peng and ran out to play, then what was he going to do with his golden body? Was he going to kneel and lick in the room by himself? Yu Zheng was anxious. He couldn't care about anything else. He rushed forward 2 steps in an attempt to seize back the initiative. Of course, everything had to be packaged with a dignified reason. Since we're in the luxury room, we need to make full use of it. There are many things here that can completely replace the facilities of Area A. For example, the simulation pod cluster. As he spoke, Yu Zheng used the highest level of authority in the room to adjust the settings. He heard the ring-shaped space of the suitcases on the 4 walls ring out with a beep. The high-back massage chairs under the suitcases slid and converged toward the center, forming 2 neat half-moon structures. These chairs have all been connected to the central AI. Combined with the special equipment of the room, we can completely realize a top-notch reality experience. We don't need to go to Area A to line up. We can set up the battlefield and engage in the wilderness, sea soul, and other group battles. Yu Zheng borrowed some advertising words and did his best to promote the place. There were some results. A few people couldn't help but go, wow. Disregarding everything else, the visual effects were indeed top-notch. Luo Nan turned to look at Papercut. His meaning was, are you interested? How could I be interested? Without the guidance of professional equipment, the reality effect was a joke for a psychic ability user like Papercut. There was no sense of reality. Papercut shrugged. He knew that Luo Nan didn't have the patience to stay here, so he took the initiative to speak up. You guys go ahead and play. Nanster Leister and I will go stroll outside and see what drinks are available. Papercut was just being polite, but he never expected Yu Zheng to tense up. He laughed and said, there's no need to go through so much trouble. There's a cold drink cabinet in the room. It's over there. Drink as much as you want. The cost is included. Besides, aren't there 14 people just right for 7 against 7? Papercut chuckled. Mo Peng retreated at this time and poked Mo Han in the crowd. Mo Han fiercely chopped down with her palm. Mo Peng curled his lips and dodged the attack. He spoke in an extremely low voice. Hey, are you going to do it or not? Of course. Mo Han responded coldly. She didn't really have any feelings for Yu Zheng before, but she was a girl. Having someone chasing after her would always satisfy her vanity. But reality told her that Yu Zheng wasn't a pursuer. He was a hunter with excess testosterone and she was just a prey at best. Losing face was a given. Yu Zheng, this bastard, wanted to step on Luo Nan, her and Mo Peng's faces to climb up. Mo Han had never been the type to be bullied. She rolled her eyes and raised her voice. Let's see what everyone thinks first. I want to go to the uncanny valley. Something happened last time and I wasn't able to play to my heart's content. Today I have to get it back no matter what. Especially Frost River reality. They even said that they left a frightening gift for me there. Who's going to accompany me? Pepe? Gray? Chiao Pepe didn't have the temperament to refuse people. She let out a few gasps and was subdued by Mo Han. Wan Zihui was worthy of being her best friend. He knew to stand on the same side at the crucial moment. He raised his hand with an innocent expression. Okay. She turned to Tong Hui and acted like a spoiled child. You accompany me. Tong Hui wasn't stupid. He knew that this was the beginning of a catfight. Of course he had to follow in his girlfriend's footsteps. He seized the opportunity to display his affection. No problem. I'll go wherever you go. Oh. Mo Han patted the goosebumps on her skin as she pulled the adulterous couple to her side without the slightest hesitation. Just like this she pulled 4 people including herself. Then she provocatively raised her eyebrows in Mo Peng's direction. As for Yu Zheng, who cared? Mo Peng chuckled, not to be outdone. I think it's better to sweat. I want to go to the wilderness. Luo Biao's stance was very upright. He grinned and said, I also think that exercise is number 1 in this sort of large venue. Mo Peng asked, Brother Qi, what about you? Tian Qi was at a loss. He wasn't really looking forward to the luxurious room's facilities. He was just confused by his sister's overly ambiguous attitude. He really wanted to say, I'll follow my sister to avoid being attacked by wolves. But in the end his skin wasn't thick enough. He didn't think that Luonan, this wooden kid, could do anything. He thought for a moment before reluctantly nodding his head in the face of Mo Peng's cordial invitation. In this way 3 more people were pulled away, including Mo Peng. Luonan's ability user team and Tianxi didn't need to be mentioned. In just a few words, there were only 3 people standing on Yu Zheng's side, including himself. The other 2 were his sister Yu Qin and Turner, who took care of their face. Yu Zheng felt his scalp tingle when he saw the situation before him. His mind was blank. He had such a good hand. Why was it going to collapse? How was he going to deal with 2 groups of people coming? Yu Qin was a good friend of Mo Han's, but she felt very awkward right now. Yu Zheng was being isolated step by step. She had no choice but to choose a side. She was angry at Mo Han for deliberately making her brother lose face. She was also angry at Yu Zheng for his inappropriate words and actions. That idiot. Would it kill him to maintain a low profile for a few more seconds? A good hand with 4 twos and 4 twos had been torn apart by him long ago. The most painful thing was that Yu Qin had to find a way out for this idiot brother of hers who had been possessed by an insect. Her mind spun a few times before she suggested, "How about this? Everyone go outside and play first. We can fight and dance when we come back. We need to toss and turn in this place to our heart's content." She turned around and hugged Mo Han's shoulder as she spoke, pulling the petite Mo Han into her embrace. Her usually reserved and cold face had a smile on it. "Wife, when we get back, let's form a group. Let's beat them up." Mo Han knew that Yu Qin was trying to soften her brother's cheeks, but she saw Yu Qin speak of their previous terms of endearment without any ill feelings. Mo Han knew that this was rare for the arrogant Yu Qin. Her heart softened a bit, but her mouth was still stubborn. "You've been having an affair for a long time. Don't come looking for me." Yu Qin lay on Mo Han's shoulder. She turned her head to look at Wan Zihue. "If I'm having an affair, I should look for Hui Hui." Wan Zihue sneered. "I'll make you Hui Hui. What about Pei Pei? Why, you guys have decided." The relatively simple Chiu Pei Pei had long since knelt down in the face of this open and secret tearing. She hastily shrunk back. Chapter 396. Yu Qin was a famous icy beauty in the circle. It wasn't that she was reserved in speech and manner, but rather that her family conditions were good. She had high standards and she was usually reserved. But the more she was like this, the more lethal she would be when she lowered her posture and acted like a spoiled child. Mo Han couldn't make up her mind. She stole a glance at Mo Peng. Mo Peng opened his mouth slightly and his gaze drifted. He had an expression that said, "I'm tempted, but I can't say it out loud." The dance battle was very popular in their age group. It was something between a sport and a game. The lighting was cool and trendy, and the design of the movements was very beautiful. It was widely liked by young women, and the superb sound and light effects in the luxurious room made it hard for the girls to resist. As for the boys, how could they refuse such an eye-pleasing activity? After all, everyone was here to play. There was a limit to fighting. The embarrassment they gave Yu Zheng just now was clear enough. Mo Han and Mo Peng's attitudes softened, and the tense atmosphere dissipated a bit. Luo Biao jabbed Mo Peng. Mo Peng knew that he couldn't let Mo Han get off the stage. He could only shoulder this burden himself. He immediately put on a drooling appearance. "Hey, let's go out and have some fun first, then come back and get high. Everyone will have to go on stage later, especially you girls." How was this going on stage? This was clearly getting off the stage. Amidst the annoyance and strange laughter, everyone was finally given a way out. The atmosphere that was on the verge of collapsing was put away. Yu Zheng was like coming back from the edge of a cliff. He was still a bit dizzy. How did things turn out like this? Now that a group of people was going out, he definitely couldn't stop them. Then he could only quickly contact Fan Chu and tell him not to bring people over. Yu Zheng's head was full of questions. He finally sorted out the priorities with great difficulty, but he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He turned his head and saw the wooden kid called Luonan staring at him. Luonan's eyes were sparkling as if they were glowing. "Mother ***, you look like you're wearing contact lenses. Are you watching me make a fool of myself?" Yu Zheng was angry at first. He wanted to glare back, but when he met Luo Nan's gaze he felt inexplicably guilty. He couldn't bear it and he turned his gaze away. Papercut was baffled. What are you looking at him for? He's the worst example of destroying a system. Luo Nan's gaze turned to Yu Qin after he spoke. This girl isn't bad. As he spoke he sized up the tall beauty Yu Qin from head to toe. Perhaps his gaze was too direct, but Yu Qin also noticed it amidst the chaos. She tilted her head, frowned slightly and turned her head back. On the other side, Papercut was very regretful. He had asked a stupid question that made his mind go blank. However, his curiosity was piqued this time and he couldn't help but ask, "Destroy the system?" "Nanster, let's go. Let's go." Mo Peng, who had achieved complete victory, was extremely excited. He wanted to drag Luo Nan to the reality battlefield. However, it wasn't easy for Luo Nan to see Papercut take the initiative to mention theoretical research. How could Luo Nan let go so easily? He waved his hand at Mo Peng and said, "Don't mind me. I have something to discuss with Brother Papercut." Before Mo Peng could react, Papercut said timidly, "Actually, it's not." The latter half of his words fell apart in front of Luo Nan's sparkling eyes. Mo Peng did his best to drag Luo Nan away, but to no avail. When he thought about how the design of the reality battlefield was already very difficult to realize, he could only grumble and change his equipment before dragging Robio and Xianxia out. Xianxia looked back 3 times with every step. He wasn't at ease with his cousin's attitude. Xianxia placed all of her attention on Luo Nan. She was completely unaware of her little brother's worries. Alright, this was even more torturous. Everyone split up and left, leaving the luxurious room nearly empty. Fan Chu's grumbles still echoed in Yu Zheng's ears. The difference between this and the previous treatment was like the difference between heaven and earth. He had to endure it and carefully ponder whether or not he should give a call to his friends in the circle of scoundrels. It was at this time that he saw Luo Nan lead a fatty over to the sofa. They chatted in low voices. As for Xianxia, she ran back and forth mixing drinks and refreshments for them. Faster, Xikemi. Yu Zheng's brain nearly exploded from the rush of hot blood. Then he was forcefully dragged away by Yu Qin. This last bit of disturbance made Luo Nan stare at the brother and sister pair once more, all the way until they left the room. If you wanted me, I would explode too. Papercut found Luo Nan's straightforward gaze a bit unbearable. He could only tug at Luo Nan to let him continue. You said they were demonstrating something. They were destroying an already formed system. Luo Nan took the glass of juice Xianxia brought to his hand. He slowly rubbed it twice in his palm, using this to organize his words. Big Brother used the most straightforward method. He did his utmost to manifest his existence. He used money and connections to frame himself. He forcefully cut in, hoping to use his own gravitational force to make all the stars revolve around him. Luo Nan actually understood. Papercut laughed. He thought he was a star, but in the end he wasn't even an asteroid? Indeed. Luo Nan didn't laugh. His attitude was very serious. The people who came to this gathering tonight can be considered a 2-star system. I, Mo Peng and Mo Han are the main initiators. We are 2 stars. Brother Papercut, Yu Shuelei and senior sister Tian are mainly pulled by me. The others are mainly pulled by Mo Peng and Mo Han. As for me, Mo Peng and Mo Han, we are mutually pulled by familial love. This kind of system structure isn't stable, but Yu Jing chose to use the stupidest and most unsuitable method. His money and connections are meaningless to us. For Mo Peng and Mo Han's friends, they lack sufficient impact. Yes, Mo Peng and Mo Han made good friends. Then he was taught how to be a person by our system. But his sister understood how to attack from within the system. She used friendship, the gravitational form of their internal system, to settle Mo Han. She untied her brother's knot. Yeah. The fortress needs to be breached from within. Papercut laughed as he leaned back on the sofa. Looks like you understand quite a bit. So you were just pretending to be naive. Leicester and Miss Tian, you both understand, right? Careful. Shuelei laughed mischievously and Xianxia pursed her lips in laughter. The atmosphere was relaxed and carefree. Luo Nan just shrugged. It's just that we don't have any requests. If my request conflicts with Mo Peng and Mo Han's, and the power of this conflict is stronger than the gravitational form of the two-star system, familial love, then this two-star system will likely collapse. At the very least it will create an unbalanced crack. Papercut's smile suddenly froze on his face. What the fuck are these youngsters thinking these days? He suddenly discovered something. What Luo Nan said wasn't particularly profound. He just used a few terms to make it more suitable for the general situation. Strictly speaking, it wasn't particularly comprehensive. But this general situation made Papercut a bit uneasy. Was this something a youngster should ponder over? Was this something a normal person should ponder over? The focus of Luo Nan's thinking was certainly not to discuss today's matter as it stood. Instead, it was to form a general and feasible truth for him. Looking at it from this angle, perhaps Luo Nan had already formed an abstract system with his surrounding environment and connections? What the hell? It wasn't a problem to engage in theory, but Luo Nan was basically a 15 or 16-year-old child. Was it really good for him to ponder over such profound and abstract questions of life and society? It was definitely not good. This was what Papercut believed. If Luo Nan constantly pondered over these questions from a young age, then complex and ever-changing human relationships would become rigid gravitational lines. Lively characters would become ice-cold symbols. This was a large step on the path of being inhuman. Papercut had never personally witnessed this sort of thing, but he had heard quite a bit about it. There were powerful individuals who had unlocked their first-rate supernatural powers early on, and they had even directly become extraordinaries. This was especially true for the leaders of secret orders. The few words left behind in the legends mostly involved this point. The current Luo Nan really had this tendency. Luo Nan continued to speak, but Papercut was unable to listen to even half a word. He stared at Luo Nan from the side. He looked at this delicate and pretty boy who was only 15 or 16 years old. Luo Nan used a calm and detached attitude to narrate his findings one by one. Luo Nan strove to filter them out and give them a general meaning. What should have been a scene worthy of admiration, and admiration caused a chill to run down Papercut's spine. A moment later, Papercut suddenly opened his mouth to interrupt Luo Nan's narration. You call them brother and sister. What are they called? That pair of brother and sister. What are they called? They're called. Luo Nan gaped. He really couldn't think of anything for a time. It's over. Papercut closed his eyes. He was at least 50% certain that Luo Nan was advancing on a path that made people both envious and fearful. Perhaps a new extraordinaire would appear in the Xia City branch in a few years. But this extraordinary would be very different from Ouyang Qin and Her Majesty Empress Wu, who had been tempered for many years. He had this premonition. Papercut didn't know what he should do. After all, he was far too far away from the level of extraordinary. Everything he knew could only touch the surface. He didn't have the ability, nor did he have the qualifications to comment on such matters. He didn't have the qualifications to make irresponsible remarks about the direction Luo Nan chose. He would have to ask the secretary later. No, perhaps President Ouyang would be more suitable. Papercut's silence didn't affect Luo Nan's mood. What he needed right now was a listener. Actually, Papercut had misunderstood a bit. Luo Nan's thoughts on the entire system had only surfaced today. The source was the sensing ability of the system he learned from Ink. This ability allowed him to see the positive effects of forming a relatively complete and closed system. His train of thought naturally turned to this when he encountered a similar situation. Of course, Luo Nan's thoughts were quite deep. From this matter, he was able to see that the internal structure of the system needed to be more cohesive. A dual-core system was definitely out of the question. The more secretive, the better. The stronger, the better. The higher the level, the better. For example, Yu Qin's methods were able to deal with Mo Han. But on Luo Nan's side, the ability, user society, friendship, comrades in arms, and other elements were completely meaningless. But these things seemed to be lacking when compared to religious connections. This made Luo Nan think of secret orders. Luo Nan talked non-stop for a long time. He held back a bit when it came to the deep secrets of formatting theory. He didn't care if Papercut, Shuele, and the others understood or disagreed with him. He spoke everything in one go. He used the process of weaving words to sort out logic and re-examine his understanding of himself. Luo Nan finished the cup of fruit juice in his mouth. Then Tianxi seamlessly handed him another cup of fruit juice. Can I drink some more juice? Yes. Thank you. Papercut groaned in his mind. He finally found an opportunity to interrupt. He didn't care if Luonan was happy or not. He waved his hand and said, "Calm down for a bit. Did you come to the amusement park just to chat? You might as well find a tea house." "Didn't I run into one? Otherwise I would have definitely found one. I still have to wait for cat eyes." Luonan looked at his watch. It was just past 7 o'clock. "Let's chat a bit more. There's still an hour." Papercut undoubtedly liked this lively and conversational young boy more. He shook his head fiercely. "Stop talking to me about systems. I'm getting dizzy. Then let's change the topic. Let's continue with the ice cream shop." "Ice cream shop? It's related to worker Zhai. It's related to the condensation ring." Luonan felt that his inspiration was gone, so he wanted to communicate with Papercut. From his perspective, there were far too many things that needed to be discussed and researched right now. Any direction would make him exuberant. Xianxia delivered a cup of hot drink to Papercut's hand. Papercut had an excuse when he saw this. "Learn etiquette well. You called Miss Tian over and then you made her serve you tea?" Luonan went, "Ah." He was certain that this was another one of his mistakes. He had taken it for granted that Xianxia came over. This senior sister couldn't let go. She wasn't as easy to blend in as Xianxia. Xianxia was a flower of understanding. She saw the situation and her eyes drooped slightly. "Don't mind me. I'm fine listening to you guys chat. Well, if it's inconvenient, I can go take a stroll outside." "No, it's not inconvenient." Luonan felt that Xianxia was more or less an insider after the incident at Ocean Sky Cloud City. It wasn't a big deal for her to understand a few things about ability users. Papercut could see that Xianxia had the intention to retreat in order to advance. She was doing her best to blend into Luonan's inner circle, striving to obtain a favorable impression from Luonan. Papercut didn't care about the utilitarian considerations. This kind of behavior gave him the opportunity to operate. "Yeah, it's not inconvenient. It's mainly because there's something wrong with this kid Luonan's brain. He came to an amusement park to talk about theory. I'm tired of listening to him. Miss Tian, do you have a place you want to go? I'll accompany you." Papercut stood up as he spoke. Xianxia immediately looked at Luonan. Luonan finally confirmed the problem of etiquette. He was a relatively obedient student in this regard. He also stood up and said, "Then let's go play for a bit. Last time senior sister went to Area C?" Xianxia looked at the three males in the room and shook her head. "Area A is pretty good." "Then Area A it is." Papercut regained his authority as an etiquette teacher. He clapped his hands and made the decision. He turned to face Luonan and said, "I'll teach you one more thing. If you feel that the experience here isn't enough, you can temporarily use the hexayear to carry out the guidance function. For a specific guide, look at the gaming area on the branch's main page." The group of people left the room just like that. Outside was Area A. Area A. The minds of the four weren't really on this. They just strolled around. Comparatively speaking, Xuelei was a bit more engrossed. He followed Papercut's instructions and went to the branch's gaming area to learn how to set things up. He put on the helmet that was assigned to him and sure enough he saw the results. "It's really useful." Papercut curled his lips. "You're the muscle type. My senses aren't bad. It's really boring to play like this normally." Xuelei was all the more exhilarated after resolving the chronic illness that had plagued him for many years. He looked all around. He suddenly saw a place and went, "Hey." He grabbed Luonan and said, "Hold on. We're already here. Aren't you going to play?" Luonan didn't react. "Play what?" Chapter 397. Area A of Frost River reality was forever the most bustling area. It might not have the largest number of people, but there were thousands of people running and rolling in the field. There were also the cheers and screams of the enormous number of onlookers. The clamorous sound waves never stopped for a moment. This was the place where reality technology was the most unbridled. Under the guidance of immersion equipment, players would go from the skyscrapers and bustling cities to the dangerous seas and wilderness in an instant. They would struggle to escape from the jaws of the mutants or show off their prowess. In the two-way hypnosis, they would obtain achievements, win respect, vent their emotions and deliberately seek abuse. But in the end, all they obtained was true pleasure. That's right. Pleasure was something that could be achieved by just secreting dopamine. The experience might not be real, but people were easy to deceive. So who didn't like playing games? The atmosphere of Area A was in full swing. Luo Nan looked at the players around him who were completely engrossed in their own world. He really could not bring himself to refuse. While Luo Nan's heart was itching. Virtual achievements, respect, and the like were meaningless to an ability user like him, who danced on the line between life and death many times. However, being able to interact closely with his friends was still very attractive to him. Luo Nan opened his mouth and was just about to agree when Xue Lei went, "Ouch," and slapped Luo Nan on the shoulder. Xue Lei's fist was extremely heavy, but it could not overcome his vexed emotions. "What are you hesitating for?" Luo Nan had an innocent expression. He didn't wear a helmet. Plus, do you have any hopes for a rookie? Papercut didn't know if he was speaking up for Luo Nan or if he was intentionally mocking him. Next, Papercut explained for Xue Lei, there were 2 empty seats in the hero seat just now. Leister wanted to snatch a seat, but you guys missed it while you were talking. Actually, there were over 1,000 pairs of eyes staring at you. It wasn't that easy. Xue Lei retorted, I heard that the probability of snatching a seat in a luxury room is several times that of a normal room. Maybe you did snatch one? Hero seat. Probability of snatching a seat? He seemed to have heard of it before, but he did not have an exact impression of it. Luo Nan once again felt the deep malice of the normal world. It was Xianxia who observed his expression and went forward to explain. The environment here was noisy. Xianxia spoke softly, so she naturally moved closer to Luo Nan's ear. Her posture was intimate. Luo Nan felt a drooping strand of hair brush against the side of his cheek and his collarbone. There was also a faint fragrance that entered his nose. If he didn't deliberately perceive it, everything would be light and fine as if there was nothing there. This was very much in line with his aesthetics. Therefore Luo Nan felt quite comfortable. At the same time, Xianxia also explained the ins and outs of the matter clearly. The so-called hero seats referred to 100 advanced simulators with 6 degrees of freedom in the center of Area A. These simulators were seamlessly connected to the wearable equipment worn by the players. While giving the players a more realistic feeling, they could also allow the players to move more boldly without worrying about being too immersed in reality and getting injured. In addition, these simulators had been upgraded in all aspects, including accuracy, sensitivity, and other control indicators. They had the upper hand in battles, and because of this the players recognized them as hero templates, and naturally flocked to them. But that was the situation in Area A. Every day, thousands of players would fight for 100 seats. The supply and demand were seriously out of balance. For this reason, Frost River Reality raised the spending limit for these 100 seats to the highest level. On the other hand, they didn't accept reservations or bids. They only used the system to do random instant kills. At least in name, they achieved openness, fairness, and impartiality. As for the probability of getting a luxury room or a normal room, it was just a speculation that circulated among the players. The operators had never officially confirmed it. Luo Nan stated his understanding, so even if you want to play, you might not be able to play? Xue Lei sighed, it doesn't matter if you can't fight for the hero seats. In any case, are you going to play or not? I'm going to play. You lead the way. Luo Nan shrugged and put on the semi-sealed helmet in his hand. He followed Papercut's directions and went to the Society's homepage game area. He learned the temporary guidance mode. After a few rounds of operation, his mental senses smoothly withdrew. He no longer overstepped his bounds and the effects of immersion grew clearly. He naturally placed his attention on the translucent panel before him. He looked at all sorts of real-time information related to Area A. The screen flowed like water. At the same time, the various AR effects in the surroundings were strengthened. His impression of the amusement park grew fainter and fainter. It was as if Luo Nan had arrived in a shabby little town covered in dust and sand. The streets were crisscrossed and all sorts of buildings were arranged in a row. All sorts of bars, shops, and training grounds were set off against each other. Even the rusted metal gate that led out of the town appeared in his field of vision. Behind the rusted metal gate was the reality battlefield. Right now they were in a service area. Xue Lei turned his head and looked all around. He searched for the most suitable place to go amidst the complex and realistic AR images. If we can't get the hero seats, then everything else doesn't matter. Let's go. Hey hey hey. While Shuelei was shouting, Luo Nan saw an eye-catching blood-red message flash on the translucent panel. Every player please pay attention. Seats 77 and 91 in the hero area are vacant. Get them. Papercut yelled from the side. Luo Nan subconsciously triggered it with telepathy, but he soon came to a realization. This wasn't the Xianxia or the psychic wave network. Telepathy was useless here. But in the next moment an image appeared on the translucent panel. An alloy dagger and a sinister beast limb collided with each other. Sparks flew in all directions. Hot-blooded background music flowed into Luo Nan's ears. There was also a vigorous male voice that spoke like a madman. The cruel battlefield has welcomed a new hero. The door to glory is open. Luo Nan was stupefied in place. Did we get it? Yes. Shuelei waved his arm to the side, then he reported the good news to Luo Nan. Nanster, we got it. Today's luck. The two were already surrounded by special AR lighting effects. One glance was enough to know each other's identities. Just like this, they inexplicably obtained the qualifications for the hero seats. The hero seat snatching duo achievement obtained. Papercut laughed and pushed Luo Nan from behind. How many grannies have you helped cross the road these past 2 days? You lucky bastard. Hurry up and go. There's a time limit for the qualifications to snatch seats. What? The problem of probability was a mathematical problem. Using luck to explain it was too rash. Luo Nan was a person who liked to be serious. His brain crashed for a time and he entered an endless loop. But Papercut pushed him forward and Shuelei led the way in front. The group of people advanced quickly toward the hero area. In the end they entered the sealed area amidst the gazes and sighs of envy. Papercut and Xianxia were unable to enter this place. They were blocked by the gorgeous projection curtain wall. The lucky bastards scram. Let's find a place to pass the time. Papercut chuckled and slightly adjusted the position of his helmet. He asked Xianxia, does Miss Tian play the game 10 Days in the Wilderness? Xianxia wore soft armor sensing equipment. Her elbow clamped the helmet. She appeared valiant and heroic under the dim lighting of the game area. She pursed her lips into a smile. I play it, but I play it more in the mobile mode. Papercut invited her. I also like to play mobile games. There's a strategy room here, right? Let's go play a round or two. Xianxia's gaze swirled. She didn't refuse, but she didn't agree either. Instead she raised a new question. She imitated Luo Nan's form of address. Brother Papercut Jr. and the others weren't lucky when they snatched a spot, right? Papercut was all smiles as he said, how could it be luck? They temporarily bound themselves to the Xianxia. Their telepathic thoughts are triggered, and they have the psychic wave network to transmit and convert signals. It's the same as using an instant kill plugin. Who can be faster than them? This is the advantage of ability users. There were many nouns in Papercut's words. They exceeded the scope of Xianxia's knowledge, but it didn't prevent her from understanding the general meaning. And it was because she didn't understand that she couldn't help but imagine the mysteries within. She was a bit spellbound for a time. But soon she came back to her senses. She was a bit baffled. Then why didn't you say it just now? It's so hard to get a pleasant surprise. Is there any fun in being too realistic? Especially that fellow Nanster. If he continues to develop like this, he won't age prematurely. There won't be any problems with him turning into a theoretical machine. Don't you think so? Xianxia could only smile at this time. Papercut invited her once more. I just checked. The strategy room is over there. Do you want to go? Xianxia had just started, but she found it hard to continue. This was because what she wanted to say was completely unrelated to the so-called strategy room. Papercut turned his head to look at her. Even though they were separated by a semi-sealed helmet, Xianxia still felt an indescribable pressure. It was also at this time that the light and shadow on the projection wall displayed the inconceivable martial strength of the game hero. The gorgeous effect and intense conflict caused players to stop and watch. They even let out cheers. This scene gave her imagination and also gave her motivation. Brother Papercut, can I also? Papercut was wearing a helmet. He probably didn't hear her. He turned around halfway and waved his hand, guiding her to the strategy room. Xianxia wanted to raise her voice a bit more, but this thing called courage was famous for its first flourish, second decline, and third exhaustion. In the end, the words didn't come out of her mouth. She was a bit dispirited. She turned her head to look at the projection wall once more. In the end, she put on her helmet and followed behind Papercut. She didn't know that Papercut, who was walking in front of her, also sighed. After seeing the sky outside the well, how can I want to return to the mud again? But without the talent to leap out in one go, thinking about this matter is just harming myself. With Xianxi's age and bone structure, it was practically impossible for her to obtain any results if she walked the path of fleshly body strengthening, even if she had the guidance of a famous teacher. As for mental strengthening, she didn't have the talent with just a glance, so naturally there was no need to mention it. Talent. Papercut felt quite bored as he thought this. Could it be that there was no way to find a cultivation method in this world that was open and above board, that grew from nothing, that grew from small to large, that gradually accumulated step by step to 1,000 miles? What in the world was the foundation that this group of ability users relied on? Who could give them a clear answer? Luo Nan's figure suddenly flashed in Papercut's mind. Perhaps only this kind of super talented freak who wholeheartedly delved into theory had the hope of seeing through the dense fog and pointing straight to the truth. However, such an existence was far too unadorable. In comparison, even that vain and foolish Yu Jing was more like a living person. This wasn't good. It was very bad. Though he didn't have the qualifications to evaluate, Papercut really didn't like this change in his heart. Tisk, I'm such a woman. Papercut continued to laugh at himself, but he still contacted someone through the hex ear after walking a few more steps. In the beginning he wanted to choose He Yuan. After all, she was his secretary. But when he thought about it again, secretary, he didn't seem to have too much of a human's aura. And in terms of level, Luo Nan, who could confuse people 5 miles into a fog at any time, might already be a head higher than his own secretary. Papercut switched contacts as soon as his thoughts reached this point. But as he expected, the other side only transmitted a prompt. Please leave a message if you have something to say. I'm going in again. Papercut shook his head. He honestly translated his thoughts into words and transmitted them over. President, I want to ask you about something. It's about the child Luo Nan's personality. After Luo Nan entered the hero area, he discovered that the area where the simulator was placed was like a maze. He was soon led away from Shuelei by the AR guide. But soon, a conversation window lit up on one side of the translucent panel. Shuelei's avatar appeared and he was able to communicate with Papercut. This was the privilege of forming a team after entering the luxury room. People outside the room could only honestly send messages. Nanster, let's not enter the battlefield. Let's first build a room and play around. Okay. Luo Nan was a standard rookie. He was a bit lacking in confidence to immediately enter the most explosive and chaotic reality battlefield. Shuelei's plan was just what he wanted. His and Shuelei's good luck began to quickly ferment just as the call ended. Avatars popped up one after another. Some were instant messages and some were messages. Mo ping bullshit. I've snatched 100 times since last month. Luo Biao, let's go play with the rainbow ball in a bit. Maybe we'll be able to earn back tonight's expenses. Mo Han, don't you think it's a waste? Tianxi, yeah, I just saw this function. Good luck. This sort of experience was comparable to winning the lottery. It spread very quickly in their small circle. Wan Zihui, Tong Hui, Chiu Peipei, and the others all sent congratulatory messages in a while. Even Yu Qin and Turner, who were in a more awkward position, said a few polite words to express their congratulations. Of course, there was no need to count on Yu Zheng. Luo Nan was a bit disappointed when he walked to hero seat number 91, the seat he had snatched. Even though Shuelei and the others had given an extravagant explanation of this thing, it didn't look too different from the completely enclosed maglev cabin in the VIP room. Alright, bringing the experience of the VIP room to the public area might count as a move. Luo Nan began to perform a data link with the help of the guide. He was quite familiar with the process. He received Shuelei's invitation approximately 30 seconds later. The scenery before his eyes immediately separated from Frost River reality. It turned into a square platform that was similar to an arena without any barriers. This isn't the wilderness? Luonan was quite baffled. This sort of battlefield construction was a bit too lazy. Who said it wasn't? There are several fighting arena scenes in the wilderness. This place belongs to the Flaming Hill Arena of Life and Death. Super famous, okay? Shuelei appeared in the arena. Out of the 4 categories of regular, deep blue, aberration and fantasy, he chose the most realistic regular human hero. Under the effects of reality, he was wrapped in an exoskeleton, but he was taking it off piece by piece. Luonan felt ominous when he saw this. While he was in a daze, he suddenly stirred and blurted out, "Change venue." Chapter 398. He had been tricked. Only now did Luonan understand that Shuelei's intentions of wanting him to do Sanzhou training had never dissipated. This bro had endured for half the afternoon and half the night. Finally, he used the invitation to fight in the wilderness to push Luonan into the pit. Of course, Luonan could still act shamelessly. He could switch to a mutant, a fantasy or something to indirectly avoid the fight. But Shuelei had forced him into the pit with good intentions. If Luonan continued to torment Luonan, he wouldn't know how to appreciate favors. Luonan suffered for the following period of time. He chose human heroes for the simplest arena combat practice. He used close-quarters combat without armor. Even with the system's built-in action modes, everything was under the support and limitations of reality technology. But Luonan was still tossed around miserably against Shuelei, a true fleshly enhanced elite monster. His most effective long-range senses were lost. Soul strength was useless. Shuelei could play however he wanted by relying purely on his body reactions and his near-blank experience. Luonan lost 10 rounds within 5 minutes. He lost so much that he nearly vomited his bile. His friends in their small circle never expected the two to play in this sort of game mode. Each and every one of them were dumbstruck. Especially in the 10th round when Luonan was strangled by the neck, the group of people flooded the screen with messages. "Mohan. Nanster, I have a whole new level of respect for you. And Shuelei, I can't look straight at you. Moping. Don't cry, Nanster. Stand up and rub your neck. Tianxi, is this safe? Wan Zihui. I'm already in the uncanny valley. You two handsome bros don't need to play any more horror movies for me to watch. Thanks. Tong Hui, you're clearly very excited. I'm talking about my wife. Luo Biao. A love-hate relationship is pure." The others, including Yuqin and Turner, all left messages. In short, they treated these 10 matches as tonight's special program. Shuelei secretly rolled his eyes, but he still did his best to block out the distractions. He taught seriously. He was an honest person. He didn't trick Luonan just to display his various killing techniques. He just used the fight to point out Luonan's flaws and increase the relevant experience. After 10 rounds, he felt that it was about time. Entering and exiting after every round was a waste of time, so he simply set up an infinite practice mode. He used the system's action design to feed Luonan moves. Most of these system actions are quite reliable. The lead rhythm is also quite good. We can start with these routines. Actually, whether it's Sanzhou or routines, it's important to grasp opportunities. In other words, we need to have a good eye first. It's not a problem for me to temporarily have high expectations but low ability. I'm only saying this to you. Yes, it's the gym master. He said it, right? Luonan gasped for air. The interference of Mo Peng and the others had an even greater effect on Luonan, who was at an absolute disadvantage. However, his current level of concentration was definitely commendable. Even if he had the intention to deal with Shuelei at the beginning, after losing 10 rounds and getting beaten up repeatedly, his emotions would have changed. Except for the few times when Shuelei deliberately let him hit him as a demonstration. Under normal circumstances, he did not even touch the corner of Shuelei's clothes. No matter how natural the result was, no matter how slight the sense of defeat was, it accumulated over and over again, and it was enough to make one furious. Luonan's body grew more and more exhausted under the drive of these emotions, but his attention grew more and more focused. Not only was he able to effectively block out the outside world's interference, he also had a clearer perception of the environment he was in. Faster, Xikemi. Luonan was knocked down by the heavy kick once more. He fell on the stage and was confused. He was more and more certain that there was a difference between the maglev cabin in the VIP room and this 6 degrees of freedom simulator. The maglev cabin Luo Nan used should be a special object for burners and ability users. It had a fine sense of the human body, reaching deep into the mental system level. It was able to observe and influence the operation of billions of nerve cells in detail. Once activated, the maglev cabin could form a corresponding template in the virtual world. It was already very close to the Hexier. Activities in the virtual world were mainly driven by the mind. But there was no lack of stimuli and influences. They would all be fed back to the body. The current 6 degrees of freedom simulator was far too lacking in precision. But there was one thing. It could pull the body to a considerable extent. It was probably the legendary saying, "If precision isn't enough, strength will make up for it." It could be said that Luo Nan was an iron coach who didn't recognize anyone. Luo Nan especially followed Xuelei's request. Luo Nan raised the extent of guidance to the maximum. Under the guidance and control of the device, Luo Nan would punch when the hero punched. He would kick when it was time to kick. And the extent of movement was very demanding. If he failed, the game character's entire body would be stiff. He would only be able to suffer a beating. The simulator also came with a bonus punishment stimulation. It was a simulation of the feeling of being struck. It was unbelievably unrestrained. Heavy blows, tumbles, lacerations, throats, and so on. It was very well differentiated. Luo Nan endlessly adjusted his movements according to these characteristics. And Xuelei continued to adjust his teaching techniques. From general pointers to painstakingly staring at a set of movements, he repeatedly taught Luo Nan, foresight. You must have foresight. You must understand the movements. You must judge the movements. You must grasp the rhythm of your and the enemy's exertion. The rhythm of both sides is conflicting, but it must be combined together. The perfect situation is your peak against my trough. Good. Luo Nan charged forward with a kick, but it was blocked by Xuelei. The system determined that the attack was effective. The force even caused the game hero to take a step back. Luo Nan seized the opportunity and was about to attack again when the simulator lit up with a yellow light. It was a warning from the system that the user had consumed too much physical strength. Pause. Xuelei raised his hand to call a halt. He had been paying attention to the state of Luo Nan's body all this time. It was just practice. There was no need to completely squeeze Luo Nan dry in one go. The system's voice came in at this time. It asked Luo Nan if he wanted to log off. This was quite tactful. After all, Luo Nan had only lit up the yellow light because he had consumed too much energy. If the red light were to light up, the system would determine that there was a risk of excessive stimulation. It would simply shut down the machine and chase him away. Xuelei was getting more and more addicted to being a coach. He was becoming more and more like a coach. Don't be anxious. Take a few breaths. Let's strike the iron while it's hot. Let's do a wave of foundation training. Isn't this the wrong time to train in the foundation? It's fine. Your internal refinement technique is quite good. Your 9 orifices and 6 roots will certainly be sensitive in the future. You don't need to worry about body control. As long as you keep a close eye on it, you won't have to worry about falling into a bad habit that's hard to correct. Education through setbacks is the most suitable method. In any case, this is what the gym master said. In short, you're going to get abused. Luo Nan let out a heh, but he was still very obedient. He followed Xuelei's instructions and set the scene to a controlled practice mode. He invited the system's virtual coach to begin consolidating his foundation. It didn't matter if he did this, but a conversation suddenly popped up. Hey, since you're a rookie, go to area B or C. You're doing basic training here. Are you kidding me? This sentence was just a precursor. Soon a wave of messages came in. Holy crap. There really are such pretentious people. It's true that you guys are rookies, but it's a bit awkward to put it in front of everyone. The audience wants to change the channel. If you can't change the channel, then change the person. These messages were completely different from Mo Ping and the others' good-natured mockery. Luo Nan and Xuelei were a bit stupefied by these messages. The others in the circle were more or less the same. Mo Ping reacted quickly. You guys set it to public mode. That's not right. Who would be so bored as to search your little battlefield? Luo Biao responded, hee hee. The information flooded the screen like a waterfall, and the truth was quickly made clear. The reason was not complicated. On one hand, Xuelei and Luonan had made mistakes. Neither of them could be considered veterans of Reality Realm. They did not set up a privacy mode after setting up the battlefield. Therefore, their fight was open to the entire platform. Anyone could see it if they applied to watch the fight. On the other hand, Luo Biao assisted in courting death. This bro had just edited a few clips of Xuelei crushing Luonan and posted them on the internal forums of Frost River Reality. The title was Love-Hate Relationship. The content of the video was fine. Xuelei was the main character and it gave quite a bit of feeling. But the interface was probably not cleaned up properly. Soon, some technical experts recognized the source of the video and called for quite a few people to come watch the fight. However, what happened next greatly disappointed the excited spectators. Luonan and Xuelei's teaching battle was already dry. The entire process was filled with peace spots. Now they were doing basic training. It was too much of a mockery to the players who had tried to snatch a spot several hundred times to no avail. No wonder someone jumped out. Damn. These people. Xuelei had managed to trick Luonan with great difficulty. Luonan was gradually getting into the groove of teaching. How could he give up so easily? It was fine to just listen to the words Area B and Area C. The simulators over there were quite a bit lacking in realism compared to Area A. Naturally, the training effects were much worse. Luonan absolutely would not agree to this just based on this point. However, the internet was a place where emotions were surging. There were quite a few people who spoke without any basis. Xuelei was furious when he saw this. He simply replied in the public channel, "We're all here to snatch a spot. Since we're here, how do we play is up to you guys to decide." In terms of raw strength, Xuelei could probably kill 100 opponents by himself. But in terms of a war of words, he was not up to the mark. His opponent simply retorted, "Trash, who wants to occupy a spot? Come fight me if you have the guts." The so-called fight for a spot was similar to an arcade game. The winner would go up and the loser would go down. But the problem was that this mode required the support of the system. Otherwise, it would be a foolish act of harming others without benefiting oneself. Xuelei chuckled, "Then you'll need to have a seat first." His voice had just fallen when the enormous words declaring war in blood filled the air. It shook the stage to the point where it shook. That was right. How could there be no good people in a place as chaotic as the hero area? Luonan shook his head, "Don't even think about peace." Sure enough, all sorts of information bombarded Luonan. More importantly, the blood-red declaration of war came crashing down. The vibrating effect was extremely annoying. Luonan wanted to set it to private mode, but Papercut, who had been watching silently, jumped out at this time. "What's there to block? Just fight." "I can't fight." Luonan had a clear understanding of his own level. Just based on his performance in the fight against Xuelei, he would be the master of being oppressed. He wasn't a masochist. Why should he? Papercut was so happy that he bent over. Luonan's current distressed and tormented state was to his liking. Luonan was like a normal 16-year-old youth. Right now, Papercut only wished for the world to be in chaos. He immediately began to act like a senior expert. "It's not pure fighting. You youngsters lack experience. You practice in a rush. Your goals aren't clear. It's hard to avoid twice the effort for half the result." It was rare for Papercut to speak in such an old-fashioned manner. However, Xuelei and Luonan were very happy to listen to the opinions of a veteran ability user. Leister just said that he wanted Nanster to first train his eyesight. It doesn't matter if he has high standards for a moment, right? Luonan acted as a witness. There was this line. Xuelei had no objections. Then it's settled. If eyesight was the first priority, then doing movement training and basic training would cause suspicion of being distracted. He must be working hard on both sides. You should have taken it as a secondary course in the first place. Xuelei tried to maintain his authority as a coach. We have to focus on efficiency, right? Since he wanted efficiency, he might as well let Nanster practice long-range heroes. Don't worry about anything else. Just aim at a moving target and focus on interrupting the opponent's rhythm. Gradually adjust the long-range and close-range attacks. Try a few rounds and I guarantee that you'll be able to train your eyesight. Your eyesight. At that time, combine it with practice and you'll see the results. Xuelei was a little shaken. Knowing oneself and knowing the enemy seems to make sense. Luo Nan saw through everything. Brother Papercut, you clearly want us to team up and fight that group of people. Papercut didn't hide it at all. Nonsense. Against a bunch of kids who don't know their limits, there's nothing else to say. We never abuse ourselves, we only seek to abuse others. Isn't that right? It could be said to be straightforward and clumsy incitement, but it made the young people in the small circle roar in response. Let's go up and crush them. Let's go up and crush them. Crush them. This group of bad friends didn't care if they would crush them or be crushed. It was a good show to watch. Soon a huge number of messages flooded the screen. Shuelei let out a long sigh. He knew that no matter how effective Papercut's suggestion was, the Sans Ho training he envisioned was impossible to continue. Since this was the case, there was no point in being conflicted. In any case, he was already furious. Fuck. Let's go. Shuelei's actions were even more straightforward as soon as he spoke. He directly chose the public battlefield and he chose the fight for position mode. At least 30 people responded at this moment, and the system sensed the relevant information. It automatically matched the infinite slaughter environment, before handing it over to all parties for confirmation. F***CK. Has the system been targeted by a super administrator? 2 peaches kill 30 warriors. It's going to explode. It's going to explode. The so-called infinite slaughter environment meant that within the next half an hour, all the participants had to completely eliminate their opponents or endure this period of time. Only then would it be over. Looking at the same situation, at least 20 people would be eliminated. This way, the other spectators would be the fishermen who reaped the benefits. The success rate of snatching positions would be explosively high. The shamelessness of the system exceeded the expectations of the majority of the people involved. However, the current situation was quickly becoming a public event. Under the watchful eyes of the public, very few people would cower. In the end, only 3 people chose to shrink back. The remaining 32 people were all swept into the public battlefield, taking up a third of the entire hero area. At this moment, the surrounding spectators in the hero area, and even the entirety of Area A, were about to explode. They cursed the system with righteous indignation as they tightly gripped the fight for position button. They stared closely at the live broadcast. As soon as one person fell, they would begin to fight like mad. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.